All right, Javoris, we have part 2 today.
Ooh, are y'all ready?
I don't know. I hope so. Mentally preparing. Okay, we're going to get right into it. How do you feel about death? Are you scared of it?
I'm a Scorpio. I'm a double Scorpio, sun and moon.
That's a lot of darkness.
Yeah, so we love talking about stuff like this. This is our area where we shine.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I love talking about this stuff because I've experienced a lot of it.
So what comes to mind first? A memory of maybe you first exploring the darkness or feeling really pulled towards it or intrigued by it?
Well, let me start with how I got into the whole realm of life and death and its cycle.
Okay.
So one night I was asleep and I had this crazy long dream. And normally my dreams I don't remember because, I like to smoke, so I don't remember my dreams. But this one in particular I remembered. And so I was in this spaceship. It looked like a pyramid. And I didn't have a body yet, but I knew it was like I could see the ethereal body of all of these other humans, but we didn't really have a body yet. So anyway, we were in the spaceship, and there in the spaceship there was these slits along the pyramid. It was a pyramid. It was a spaceship. Like I could still see the sand, but I knew it was a spaceship because I could see the galaxy and the stars and Earth way out. It looked like a little dot.
So you were flying out in space.
Yes.
In this. Okay.
Yes. And so I was with my family, or like the spiritual community likes to say, your soul tribe. So I was with my family, and we all had these. It's crazy that you're wearing green because that's the green emerald that was over our head. Like Sims?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We had like this emerald green.
A little kind of jewel or something above you?
Yeah, and it was like over our souls. And so we were all just like sitting on these benches, like all these humans just sitting, waiting to be incarnated to Earth.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so did everyone have the same look to them on the outside?
So they just had like ethereal body. It was almost like a mist, but we didn't have bodies yet. We were getting prepared to incarnate. And so all I remember is it was like this voice. It was like a telepathic voice. It was like, okay, it's time. And we all laid in these sarcophagus type things, and water filled the spaceship. I was like, so
what?
Now I'm getting into birth, the woman's womb, and how life is created, and the water schematics. I'm like, okay, and let me back it up.
The water part is so fascinating.
The whole ship got filled up with water. And so then it just skipped to another part. So I'm with my spirit guide, or whoever this ethereal being is, and we're going up through the spaceship. And so it was like a shopping mall inside, like this spaceship. It looked like a shopping mall, but it was, instead of products, it was different types of bodies.
Are you serious? So you got to pick your body?
Yes. Like they had like shades, the hue, like the difficulty level, like a video game. It was crazy.
Because I've heard people say, if you don't see the beauty in yourself, you should relook at it because your soul chose this body for a reason because it thought it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Or is there another perspective? Is there another perspective you have now?
Oh, yeah. Okay, we're getting there. There. Okay, so I'm shopping for bodies, and the spirit guide, he's just like, what do you want to look like? Who do you want to be? What do you want to accomplish in this life? Like, what kind of life do you want to live? And of course, I'm like, I want to be a king. I want to have everything. And he's like, okay, let's look at some of those bodies. And so I chose the one I wanted, and he was like, okay, great, let's go check out, essentially. So we go to another floor. And on the top floor of the spaceship, it's like incarnation time. It's like game time. Everyone's about to like check out and incarnate. Check out by their body, by their experience, and incarnate. And so I'll get up to this room, and I see all these people sitting around these tables. It was almost like we were at a very nice bank.
Oh, okay. So at first I'm picturing almost like Jesus when he had all the disciples around, like some formal, almost sacrificial, important gathering. Did it have that vibe too?
It was,
or was
like,
it very serious like a bank?
It was very serious like a bank. Okay. Very serious. It was like the people that were issuing out the bodies, or the human, like our human vessels. It was like they weren't aliens, but you could tell they were really, really old.
They've seen a lot of stuff in the universe.
But they didn't look old, though. You could just tell it's like, that's an old, ancient energy.
Yeah.
And so I get to the checkout line, and the lady's like, do. Unfortunately, it said declined.
What? They can decline?
Yeah, it said decline. She was like, decline. Unfortunately, you don't have enough, what did she call it?
Oh, almost soul knowledge or soul
life
karma.
points. Life points.
Life points. Whoa.
She was like, you don't have enough life points to afford this body. You're gonna have to find something a little bit more within your range. And so then I see all the other people kind of like looking over their shoulder, like
judging, or was it a feeling of
just like
sadness, or
it was just
like feeling bad for you?
Yeah, like feeling, yeah.
Okay.
You're like, oh, I know he wants to be a king, but I kind of already bought that body, bought that experience. I bought since 16th century, whatever, or 17th century, whatever. I kind of bought that experience. So I always like back to your point, we don't necessarily get to choose. We do, but not to the in fine detail.
Mm-hmm. It's almost what you deserve or what you need and what your soul needs to learn, probably. Mm-hmm. Because maybe I've heard too, if you're a big, powerful leader or a king, you have to either gather a lot of life knowledge from previous lives, or there's almost this library of past lives that people can take, and it's encoded into your DNA. And you remember all of this knowledge without actually having to go through those lives. Mm. There's so many theories out there, right? Where you're like, I don't know what's true or not, but it's fun to think about.
Exactly. And I think that's the fun part. We get to live our lives and remember and figure out, like, why did we come here?
Yeah.
And everyone's incarnation story is so different.
Yeah. Can I tell you mine?
Yes. Oh my God, I want to hear. Yes.
Okay, so I actually tapped into this when I was on psychedelics on accident. And it was when I was going through a lot of health stuff. So I was using the psychedelics to kind of almost like feel a lot of love and heal myself in different ways. And so one time when I took them, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this time is so boring. Nothing's happening. This was a waste of time today. And then all of a sudden, of course, 2 minutes later, my body gets like sucked up, or I should say my soul gets sucked up out of my body. And I'm floating in the ethers surrounded by all of these really powerful souls. And it felt like this round table where they were having a meeting and called me to it. Wow. And they go, we need you to come to Earth. And I was like, no. I'm not going there. That's not for me. I don't want to do that. I didn't sign up for this.
You read the fine print.
Yeah, I was like, I've heard about that place. Nuh-uh. they're like, I'm sorry, but like, we really, really need you. And it was this whole thing back and forth. And finally I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it, but only once. And then I suddenly was sucked back into my body here on Earth, where I was in my bed, in my bedroom. And I looked around and nothing looked familiar. It was as if I was viewing everything from an alien lens. Because you know how we see other aliens that look so foreign to us?
Yeah.
That's how my room looked to me. Wow. I had never seen anything before. And then I turned and looked in the mirror and just about screamed. Because Abby, me, looked like an alien. And I was going crazy thinking, how am I going to live the rest of my life with this perspective? I was like, this is so messed up. I'm screwed. But of course, once the drugs wore off, I was normal and fine. But it gave me this whole different perspective, of course. Just, I'm sure like yours did.
You broke through.
Yeah, something.
You're just like, wait, this life is different than the life that I know.
Yeah. And I always had, or during that time too, I had this feeling as if there was some kind of soul swap. Like I had a very average soul before, and then it was something happened and my souls had to swap with this new soul that came in, where they like requested this new one. Because I feel like a totally different person than the first 23 years of my life. I totally changed everything about me. Well, not everything, a lot.
Did you ever do Kundalini yoga? That sounds like a Kundalini awakening.
I mean, I did a lot of yoga. I don't know if specifically Kundalini, but yeah, there was a lot going on at that time in that year.
I feel that. How old were you?
I think I was 23 or 4.
Yeah.
How old were you?
About the same age, about 22, 23. Yeah.
Did you know anyone else at the time that had gone through anything similar?
Oh my God, no. I was just like, once I grew up in the church, so once I left the church, I was like, just like, wow, 18 years of just been in the church. Now I'm free. I get to explore the world. I was just full on exploration.
Yeah. Did you feel lonely through it? Or was it something where you were just diving in, didn't care about anything else?
No, honestly, I didn't feel lonely, but when I was going through some of the craziest times of my life, I always had one person that was almost like a guy. They were my friend, but they were almost like a guy. Like I had one friend, his name was Uriel. And that's one of the name of one of the archangels in heaven.
Oh,
They
yeah.
call him Uriel.
Oh, yeah. Okay, when you said that, I would go, that sounds familiar.
And so when I was doing like some of the crazy stuff, like I would go to the club, get shit faced drunk, and I would end up in my car in the driver's seat, like shit faced in the alley.
No
And
way.
my friend Uriel, he would be the one like, "Hey, is everything okay?" He would make sure I was okay. And then one night, this guy, I was out at the club. These are some near death experiences.
Oh,
Like
here we
I was out
go.
at the club and I met this one guy, and I was so messed up. And this guy was not cute at all. Looked a mess. But he was like, "Hey, I don't have a car, but we can go have fun." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, great." And my friend Yuri was like, "No." I'm like, "No, don't go."
Was your friend there?
Yeah, he was
Okay.
there. Because he was the one driving. He was
Okay.
like, "No, don't go, don't go." He was like, "Oh, I just live like right down the street." And then I was like, "I'm going." And my friend was like, "I'm coming with you." I was like, "You can't come. This is like a one-on-one."
Yeah, what are
He
you
was like-
intruding on?
He was like, "No, I'm coming." And so we get to where he lives, and it's the projects. This was before Nashville was Nashville. Nashville was rough. Like those projects down by downtown, rough. And so I went in the projects.
First time?
Yes. Yes.
How did you feel? Were you immediately just kind of freaked out and chilled, or were you drugged and
I was
messed
so
up? So
I
you were
was
like,
so fucked up.
yeah. You were like, this is a fun adventure.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go.
And the guy was trying to get drugs. And so he was like two like people. Like they were like wild. And so I got really uncomfortable, and I text my friend Yuri. I was like, "I'm ready to go. Like, come get me." Because he was jacked. He was huge. I was like, "Come get me."
So he did?
He was like, "I never left." He was like, "I was circling the entire projects. I was waiting for you to call me." He said, "I never left."
What a nice, wow. Your guardian angel, literally.
Exactly. And my older brother's name is Gabriel or Gabriel.
You got all sorts of angels in your life. Look at that.
So I feel like I've always been protected. And my grandmother, like so many psychics, so many mediums, so many spiritual people, shamans, everyone has told me, it was like, your grandmother sits on your right shoulder. They've all said it. They was like, she's like your guardian angel. She's like assigned to your journey right now.
Do you feel her very often?
Oh my God, yeah, all the time.
And do you talk to her intentionally, or is it just kind of maybe you talk to her but you don't even realize it sometimes too?
I don't realize it. And my mom has a photo of her in the kitchen. So every time I'm cooking, like that was my grandmother's thing. Like she didn't leave us any grimoires, but she left us all of her cookbooks. So anytime like the family was going through, because it was, mind you, it was the 50s and 60s. So my parents, my grandmother, she cooked to make the family feel good. So my mom still has all of her pots and pans, and every time my mom makes something out of her pots and pans, my grandmother's pots and pans, the food it is just divine, and it just takes all my worries away.
There's probably literally love cooked into it. And
Yeah.
she put her magic. Wow, that's special. Okay, so powerful grandma.
Yes.
Do you have any other people on the other side that you?
My great grandmother.
Yeah.
She was really psychic. She predicted all of my mom's kids. So she predicted up until she predicted up until me. So she predicted my oldest sister and my oldest brother. She was like, first you're gonna have a boy, then you're gonna have a girl, and then she passed on. But she predicted so many things, and my grandmother was really psychic too. Like really psychic, and they've encountered so many things. Like my mom has this one story that she remembers when she was a young girl. So back in like the 50s, 60s, everyone here in the South would leave their door open. They wouldn't lock it. They wouldn't.
It was just a trust thing?
Yeah. Because it was so small. Everyone lived in the same community. So the doors would be unlocked. So they was having this gathering one day, and this lady came out of nowhere and just came into the gathering. And my mom was like, who is this? Like everyone was like kind of like, who is this? But everyone just assumed she was a family member or a family friend. So she comes in and sits in the chair. And my mom said she didn't say a word. She just sat there and just had this beautiful demeanor and just never said anything. And my grandmother was like, so young lady, who are you? And the lady was like, oh, I'm just passing through.
What? It gave me the chills.
It gave me the chills when I heard it. I was like, Mom, what? And then the lady was like, well, I think it's time for me to go now, but it was so nice seeing you all. And she got up and walked out, and everybody in the room was like, oh, who was she?
Yeah,
Who
what
is that?
just
Your
happened?
girlfriend? Is that like who was that? And when they got up to see where she had went, she was walking down the street, and my mom said she vanished.
Literally, do you think an angel kind of vibe, or just a
something?
That's some crazy energy. I've had one experience like that too, actually, where someone appeared out of nowhere and then vanished out of nowhere. And it was when I was in New York City, and I was having such a hard time and was really thinking about leaving, but I was so adamant about staying because I was stubborn. I was like, I just have to keep going and overcome this. And I got on my train to go to work, and it was a total of an hour commute to work every day. And I had to take a train out to Long Island. And there were only trains that left every hour. So if I missed one, I had to wait an entire hour. So me being the late person, I'm always just late for everything. I was always rushing, like running to Penn Station. And this day, of course, I get there probably a minute late, but the train is still sitting there. So I'm like, okay, I'm fine. But of course, the doors are all closed, and I'm trying to press buttons and nothing's opening. I'm running back and forth up this train yelling and trying to find a conductor or someone to open. And I finally find someone, and he's trying to help me, but he can't. And it's this whole scenario. And finally, the train just starts leaving, and I'm standing there. And I've been trying for probably 5 minutes to get on, you know? And I'm like, no. And I just kind of started crying a little bit, or just so angry. And this lady behind me, because the train station was empty after that train left because there was none on the other side. And this lady behind me, she goes, honey, you weren't supposed to be on that train. And that's when the tears just start rolling. I was bawling. I was like, oh my gosh, I think you're right. And it kind of relieved some of the pressure and stress because I was so hard on myself too, of like, Abby, you're going to be late for work. What are you doing? You're like a fuck up. All these things run through your head, of course. Yeah. And her saying that was like, no, that's just meant to be. And I took those words as more than just that train to work, but the train in New York. Like I wasn't supposed to be in New York anymore. And so then when I walked away from her and was walking up the stairs, of course I looked back and she's gone. And there's nowhere she could have gone unless she had jumped off the tracks or flown up to the ceiling. I don't know what, but it was one of those eerie moments where you go, whoa.
Wow. And I feel like that's when we experience those moments or like when we're really just down and out. I feel like that's when they come.
We need some help or something to lift us up a little bit or redirect us even.
Yeah, because I mean, we're all meant to help each other out on planet Earth, but some people are just meant to do a little bit. And I feel like that's why we have guardian angels, because I mean, the weight of the world is heavy. And so it's like the angels are like, or angels, alien, whoever is out there. It's a big universe.
All those things. Oh my gosh, don't even know.
It's a big universe, but they're just here to help.
Can you think of a time when you almost died?
Oh, yeah, a lot of times. So back to when I was out just doing crazy things. Yeah. So I did a lot of hooking up.
Played around.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But every time I hooked up with someone, there was always, just for some reason, it was just always drugs around. Mm-hmm. And so I remember this one time I did drugs with this one dude, and I just like passed out. I was just done. And all I remember, he was like, why do you do this? That's what he said. He said, why do you, and mind you, he's like high too. He's like, why do you do this? He was like, you don't need to be doing this.
Whoa.
And he had like this red arch of lights in his room. And honestly, I don't remember anything else. All I remember is I woke up and I was in my car.
Holy.
That's all I remember. Huh. I woke up, like we didn't even do anything. We just did drugs and I passed out. And then all I remember him saying while I'm like doing this, he's like, why do you even do this? He's like, you don't have to do this.
Some random stranger just kind of.
Yeah, some dude I just found on some app.
Yeah.
And all I remember, I was in my car.
So do you think he might have helped you? Or just some unexplainable reason where something helped you?
Or something like Inception happened.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah, it was like
something.
Some kind of snap, and then suddenly, boop.
Yeah,
and your brain went, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's it.
Whoa.
And then the other experience, this was the biggest one. So mind you, okay, so we've covered incarnating into life and incarnating into our experience, and I feel like I was meant to have all these experiences of kind of essentially trauma, so I could help other people who've experienced the same trauma. Mm-hmm. But my other experience was when I had been doing. Should I say the drug? Should I say it?
If you feel like it. Otherwise, you could just say a hard drug.
Well, it was definitely a hard one that most people don't do.
Okay.
And so I had been doing it for like 3 days. I was on a bender, and I had been with this random dude. Like this guy. I don't even know where he came from, but he was riding around with me for 3 days.
Yeah.
We were like just hanging out for 3 days.
I feel like when you're on a drug, you find people of that same frequency. They just appear.
Yeah.
Where you're like, where'd you come from? Okay, let's do this together. We're on a journey.
It's like a radio station. You just tune in. And so we were just going around looking for some place to like mess around, because I'm like a broke college student. He's obviously like a broke drug dealer or whoever. And so we're looking for a place to stay. And so anyway, we get to this hotel room, and he's like, "Stay here, and I'll like go get us some more drugs." And mind you, he's driving my car. I let him have the keys. I don't know this man. I met him 2 or 3 days ago.
You're so trusting.
Right.
Drugged up Javoris is trusting.
It's a blessing and a curse. But he took my car, and so I was like, what the fuck? Why did I just let this man take my car? So anyway, fast forward. He came back. So fast forward, it was a Sunday, and we were going back to his place. And the sun was shining so bright, like really bright, or maybe I was like hungover.
Too bright. It was too bright.
It was too
That's
bright.
the moral of the story.
But my grandmother came through, and he was driving my car, and he looks over at me and he says, "You probably think I'm batshit crazy, don't you?" And he starts laughing, and his head it was like a scary movie. His head went in like 7 or 8 different directions. I was like, holy shit. Because it was like, when you do the drug I was doing, I feel like I was killing myself, because I grew up in a conservative household. I was like, I don't have the balls to kill my own self, so I can just do it slowly and have fun and do it.
Interesting. Were you aware of that? Or is that looking back okay?
Oh, yeah, I was always aware of it. I was like, because I can't just do it. So I was like, may as well have fun and do it.
Yeah.
And so I felt like I was about to die at this point. And so my grandmother had came, and she said, "It's time to go now," after I had saw that. Because I had seen his spirit. Now that I know more, I've been through my dark night of the soul, and I've healed and came out of it. I know more about what I was going through and why I went through it and what my purpose is.
Oh, okay. So you were seeing the essence of his soul in that moment of the darkness and craziness that you probably were. Yes. Like on the surface, on the outside, you were like, "Oh, this is fun," and then you see the depths of it, and you go, "Oh, that's not cool."
Yeah, like no, like I feel like the Christians get it right when they kind of classify different spiritual entities. Every school of like spirituality has their own classifications of good and evil, and so I feel like this dude though, he was like an archdemon. Like I can deal with an imp, I can deal with a demon, but when you start dealing with like archdemons, I know their names now. I'm getting to that point too, how I learned demons' names.
Was that after?
This was after.
You researched it or what?
No, I had an exorcism. So, okay, let's get back to the story.
Hold up.
Let's get back to the story. So, my grandmother was like this golden angel in the sunlight. She said, "It's time to go now." And so I looked at him and I said, "Pull over here." I said, "I think we need to clean my car out." I like snapped back into I had to snap back. My grandmother was like, "It's time to get away from this man. Like, he's going to ruin your destiny, and I'm not going to let that happen." And so we pull over. He's cleaning up my car, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I think it's good enough." I was rushing doing it. I was like, "It's good enough." And so I get back in my car, and he was like, "You're going the wrong way." He was like, my house is that way. I said, "Oh, it's all right." And so I got to the corner before I got to my house, and I said, "You have to leave now." I said, "Get out." Like we're at the 4-way stop. I said, "You have to get out." And I said, "I don't know what you put in my car." I don't know why I said this. I said, "I don't know what you put in my car." I said, "But everything you put in my car, take it out."
Whoa.
I don't even know why I said it. And he was like, "Whoa, what's going on with you? What's wrong with you?" I said, "Nothing's wrong with me." I said, "You just got to go." Mm-hmm. And so I left him at the curb, and I went home, and we have this arch in my house. And so I go to and my dad is home, and normally on Sundays, he's always at church, but he wasn't this day. And so I went to his room, and I was like, "Dad, I feel so nasty."
Oh my gosh, you confessed to him. And
I started crying, and all I saw was like this black whirlwind of clouds around me, and it was just like swirling, like engulfing my spirit essentially. And so he said, "All right," he said, "Go in the living room." He said, "Grab my Bible." He was like, "And we're gonna pray." And I was like, okay. And outside it looked like ancient Egypt in its prime. Like when I was looking outside, it was like was
this drug still in you?
It was, but it was exiting my system very fast.
Okay.
Very fast. And outside, it appeared like it was like ancient Egypt. So anyway, so my dad's praying. And I'm like, okay, yeah, Dad, hurry up, get the prayer over with. I'm ready to go sleep now.
Yeah.
And so then all I feel is like I start growling.
What was that for?
Whatever was inside me was coming out.
Yeah, I feel like
I started growling. My dad, like, I wish my parents were here because my mom has a different perspective and my dad has a different perspective. They and my brother and all my siblings have a different perspective because they heard me growling. And my oldest sister said, when we came in the house from church, she was like, the whole house smelled like sulfur. And my brother was like, as soon as I came in the house, he said, I went into protective mode. He said, he said, when you were upstairs screaming and hollering and growling, he was like, I took the girls and we just rode around the block. And Mom was like, y'all leave. I'm going to take care of this. And so my mom comes upstairs and because my dad was like, I can't get it. Whatever's in him, I can't get it. And so meanwhile, while I'm growling, while they're doing all that, while I'm growling, I'm still very conscious and I'm still in my body and still very aware of everything. And so this entity was like grabbing me, and the entity, I couldn't see it, but all I could see is like this skeleton with very long horns. And my dad was like, say Jesus, and I was like, I can't talk.
It was preventing you from doing that.
Yes. And so then death comes under this arch in my house. Death comes out of nowhere, and death, the version that I saw, he had a suit on. No face. It was just like a mist. It was, I could see the outline of a face, but no face. And he just kept looking at his clock. It was a masculine energy, and Death just kept looking at the clock.
And you just knew that was the Death?
Yeah, I knew.
Whoa.
And I looked and I said, no. I said, not right now. I was like, no. And he was like, and just walked away. Then that's when the demon really came out, because the demon's like, okay, the vessel chose to live. I have more power now.
Oh, it can mess with you more now.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so it got even crazier. And so my mom comes upstairs and she does. Have you ever seen like the Christian art of Jesus? And he's like this.
Maybe.
That's a mudra.
Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of different mudras and learned about them a bit. What's that one?
That's like a healing mudra.
Okay.
And so my mom did the exact same thing, and she touched my third eye, my pineal gland, and it's like she extracted it, because what the entity was doing, my dad, like, I was like growling, and then I would like calm down. But what it was doing, it was moving through different systems of my body. I didn't know that at the time, but now that I know more about healing, know more about energy work, Reiki, I can articulate it now. And so my mom got it out, and all I remember is like all these like imps. It was like I was like full of demons, like full of them, or lower vibration, whatever they were. And so the imps left, and then Archangel Michael, or some being like him, came down. And that entity is so huge. All I could see was like his ankle. That's how big he was.
Oh, whoa.
And he just waved like a sword like this, and all the imps just left, and the archdemon was gone, and I was sober instantly.
Shut up.
And then my dad was like, you were curled up like a baby on the floor. I was like, I was. I was like, what?
So it took your mom, your dad, and some crazy powerful angel.
Yes.
Do you think you were helping at all, or were you totally kind of unaware, unable to move your body and do stuff?
I feel like I was just like in between realms getting ripped apart.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
I was like, without my parents, I probably would have just been like out in the streets like Skid Row or something. Fucked up. And so all I remember, my dad was like, when you were curled up in that ball, I was like, what was I doing? He was like, you were just curled up in a ball crying. But I remember it was like a golden light coming down from like this heavenly space. It would look like it was just a very beautiful space. And I was like instantly restored, instantly sober, instantly.
Did you feel tired?
Oh yeah, I slept for days.
I'm sure.
But the thing is, when you put yourself, like I had put myself in that realm for so long, for about 1 or 2 years, that I still had a lot of spiritual ties to those people. And so one night I was in my bed, because mind you, I had been doing this drug for like 1 or 2 years straight. So I was like getting the drugs out. I was sober. And all I remember, I was in my bed one night, and like this demon, that's the best way I can describe it, because they're not fun creatures, fun entities, fun spirits, fun vibrations, or whatever the fuck they are.
They like to have fun though.
They do.
They're so trickster sometimes, so patient. And they love to play games.
Yes, but I hate the ones that fly.
Why?
Because I was in my bed one night and I'm just like trying to get sobered up, and all I remember is like this entity that could fly had like lifted my soul up. I was still in my bed, but I could feel like my essence that fuels the body getting pulled out of me. It had lifted me up and was trying to drag me out of the house, and I had screamed. I was like, "Mom, Dad!" And they was like, "Oh, Jesus!"
They're like, "Not again."
Like, right. They was like, "You'll be fine," and I did, and it went away. But I was like, that was the other crazy experience. But
oh my gosh,
that's just half of it.
Yeah. Because about 2 years ago, I had this intuitive feeling like I had to start exploring my darkness. And I think it might have been my intuition, but it also might have been some demons just saying like, hey, Abby, let's go into the darkness. Yeah. And it probably was a repercussion of many years of blackout drinking every weekend, doing lots of drugs, hanging around a lot of people that were also doing that. It's just like those substances attract in so many demons so easily, which I am aware of now. It's like literally spirits, alcohol spirits, you know? And especially absinthe. Have you ever had absinthe?
No.
That one is dark.
What? I've heard about it. We call it wormwood in the healing world because it can kill parasites.
Okay, yeah, because I used to drink it when I was studying abroad in Italy, and one night I got also drugged by someone. You know how, like creepy guys will drug girls and whatnot. Like I experienced that, but now flash forward, it was a few weeks ago. I was out at a bar with a friend, and I wasn't drinking that night, but I had this intuitive urge again to drink some absinthe, and I took one sip. And I could see this green, creepy creature coming out of it. And I think I've been practicing my power over those dark demonic spirits and also saying no to them. So after that one sip, I was like, I can't do any more. But I felt some hallucinogenic effects and I felt so weird. And
it's real.
Yeah, it's crazy how they come out of nowhere. And it's the temptation too, right? And it's fun to explore, but you have to know when to cut it off and be like, okay, this is not enough.
Yeah. And it's like if we don't cut it off, like the universe or the forces that be will do it for you. It sucks.
Yeah. And it's either like death. It's either death or some brutal experience, right?
Yeah. I hate it.
Did you ever relapse on the drugs? Like, did you quit hardcore or cold turkey, I should say?
Oh, no, I definitely went back a few times. And okay, that leads me to my other story. So when I went back, that's the story I was telling you about last time.
Oh, yeah.
So when I went back, there was these guys and they were like, hey, we're having a party over here at this house over in Salem town. I'll say the neighborhood.
That sounds like Salem. What is it, Massachusetts?
Exactly. And it is a lot of witches over there. I know a few. But we went to this house and they had this screen up, and it was like 5 other dudes in the room. It was just bed, drugs, sex, everything. And so they was like, hey, do you want something to drink? And I was like, yeah, sure. But I was like, first, let me go to the bathroom real quick. So I was like, I want to see if they're gonna drug me. My senses have always been sharp, like sharp. Mm-hmm. So I hear them unscrew something and pour something in a glass, and they gave it to me. They was like, hey, as soon as I came out of the bathroom, here's your drink. And so my mom taught me to fake sip because she was a wild child too.
That's a good mom, smart lady.
Mm-hmm. So I did my fake sip, and then they pulled up this screen of like it was like a Zoom screen of all these like different people doing different things, and there was this one. Mind you, I'm the only black dude in this room too.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh shit.
Does it always feel weird, or especially in this situation, you felt like it was a little weirder?
In this situation, yeah, because I could already tell, we already kind of doing some things that I could go to jail for.
Yeah, fair.
So yeah, I was like, this is a little weird. I got to really watch it. So anyway, but I don't always feel like that though. Humans are humans. Mm-hmm. But in this situation, I was like, I'm around some people. I got to watch it. Mm-hmm. And so the guys, they pull up this one screen, and there's like a black dude and a white dude, and they're both naked. And the white dude had drugged the black dude, and then the black dude had laid in front of the white dude on the bed and died and started foaming at the mouth. And I was like, oh shit.
Okay.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God. And so they all look at me and they say, we're going to do that to you.
That's terrifying.
And in psychology, they was like, when you're dealing with predators, do not act like prey. So as soon as they said that, I said, oh, no, you're not.
Wow. Did you have the confidence immediately, or did it come out of nowhere?
Oh, I definitely didn't have the confidence. It was 5 full-grown men who were jacked up on a drug that makes you basically don't give a fuck. And I was like, I'm going to have to use everything in me to get out of the situation if they decide to act on that. Mm-hmm. And so I was prepared to do that. Mm-hmm. Then they started talking about, they was like, well, when we kill you, like, you know how much you're worth, right? And I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah, what?
I was like, what do you mean? And they was like, your the pigment in your skin sells for this per gram on the black market. Your testicle. I mean, they was like, I was like, whoa.
Okay, that goes into a whole other realm. I don't know about the black market.
Whoa. I learned about it that day.
Okay, yeah. I don't want to go there, I don't think.
And so eventually I got out of the situation because I just walked out. I don't know how. And I went to my mom's business, and I was just like, Mom, I really fucked up. And my dad came, took me home, and so that was the last time I relapsed.
Wow. Yeah, that's an intense relapse where you probably went, okay, I think I've had enough.
Yeah, and I'm like, why do I have to have such intense experiences for me to get it? But I'm like, I guess that's what I need, because I'm a Scorpio. We love stuff like this.
Oh, I feel you.
We have a natural investigative spirit, so we want to learn more about the world. I want to see all of the mysteries of the world. Go to the pyramids. Yeah, we love that stuff.
Yeah, the occult taboo things. Yeah. You're talking about your drug experiences reminds me of the guys, because I've been with a lot of guys that have a lot of darkness, I would say, or don't give a shit about anyone but maybe money or themselves. And I actually realized this one time when I took way too much of an edible, marijuana, and I somehow broke through something, and I saw everything in the universe and everyone I knew through a perspective of low vibration darkness, which I didn't realize was a thing, because I apparently, now I know, see everything through light and positivity and love. And so I always see the best in people, the potential. I'll give people second chances, things like that. Whereas a lot of guys that I was with, I was seeing, they just saw me as a pretty thing to bring to dinner and fuck and nothing else. And they were just, using me in a lot of ways. And it was kind of a big slap in the face, of course, in that moment where I was like, they don't care about me. But then you, of course, realize, okay, I have to care about me. I have to love myself. I have to do all these things. And then you find people that actually do care about you. Because it's like what you attract is what you embody.
Yes.
And so there's been a lot of moments where it was so tempting to go back to them. And every time it literally destroys me. Like I'll wake up with a face full of acne and like feeling so messed up and so out of sorts and almost going on a bender, or like I literally woke up one day and I was like, I think I'm bipolar today, where they just threw off my whole mental state.
Oh yeah.
And of course, every time it's a drug where you're like, but that was kind of fun. I kind of want to do it again.
Yeah, I know. Always, I know. It's so like the last time I said, you was like, how do you feel about like the dark? I was like, it's so intoxicating.
Yes. You learn so much from it too.
It's true. The bad boys they're a lot more fun.
Yes.
They are.
They are.
But now that I'm 30 now, and it's just like, I can't handle it anymore.
Yeah. Because every time it gets worse and worse.
It does. I'm like, my body has had a lot of bounce back. I was like, but I don't think it has a lot more bounce back. And then too, what I'm doing now, we're going to have to talk about this on the next podcast. I'm doing peptides right now.
Peptides?
Yes. So peptides. So I work in the health food world,
Yeah.
And there's this guy that comes in and he always looks so good. I'm like, how do you look this good? And I told him, I want to look like you. I said, what do you do? Mm-hmm. And he was like, I do peptides. I was like, what are they? But essentially, they are amino acids, but they give you the same benefits as like a steroid without shutting off your own testosterone production. But when I do the drugs that I was doing, it diminishes all of that progress. So I can go from looking like a superhero to a crackhead and like that. So now I can't go do all those things I did in my old life. And it sucks because I love to have fun. Have you heard the new Doechii song?
I think so.
She was like, I love Hollywood parties.
Yeah, like, being real. Come on.
They're fun.
Yeah.
But now I have to like kind of like fine tune it.
This reminds me, is there NAD? Have you heard of that supplement? Is that similar? Because I feel like that they've talked about that's reversing aging or something.
Yeah, NAD, but I always suggest people to just get the real thing. A lot of people want the supplement form of it, and that helps your body produce its own NAD. But if you want NAD just straight up, I'll give you the link and my friend's discount.
Oh, dope. Okay. Noted. Okay, so also, have you found outlets for channeling your darkness or kind of grieving it or processing it? Because art is my way, where I was making just darker vibed clothes or even taking photographs or doing photo shoots that felt darker to me. It was a lot of art expression. Did you have one, or have you just kind of moved on from it, do you think?
No, because now I'm doing spirit work. And I'm working with like, and I learned that I'm Nigerian and Malian, so I'm working more with like the occult aspect of it, because that's always gonna be considered darker no matter what. So I feel like that's the kind of darkness I kind of deal with now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like for instance, like in Nigeria they work with the Orishas, and the Orishas are like the equivalent of the Greek gods.
Really?
And I've noticed though, when I work with those type of spirits and those type of essence, they recognize me because I came from that land. My DNA is an exact match, and so it's like they hear me. And so like I have some like rings, like I have some of the oils on right now, and I feel like that's what I do now. And the darkness is kind of like just like an old friend.
Yeah. And you can probably recognize it a lot quicker, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what was most helpful to me, is now I can discern, especially with talking with spirits on the other side so much. And one of my biggest fears was like when I do psychic medium stuff, I was always like, oh my God, what if I talk to a demon? What if I get possessed? What if I fuck this all up? And now I can pretty quickly discern and be like, that's off. That's a demon. Or that's just like, doesn't have to be quote a demon, but a lower vibration trickster energy, something I'm not trying to contact right now. And it gives you more power and comfort in your situation where, yeah, things could go wrong still, but I have more discernment.
Exactly. And it's all about balancing those two energies out too. Because I mean, we live in a dual world. I mean, you have male, female, up, down, left, right, in, out. I mean, it's a dance. It's something you like. I've tried to fight the darkness my entire life, but when you incarnate to Earth, it's all about balancing the energy and mending, just finding the balance between that dance. That's why, like, when I go out, I'm like, I'm not gonna be a prude. Like, because I'm like, now that I'm more advanced, I know what to do. I know how to have fun, know when to reel it back in. I have a lot more control now, so it's just like it's all about balance now.
Yeah. And have you met people along the way in the past few years where you've able to connect with them on these things or help them? And especially relating to their darkness and being like, almost creating that safe space of people probably feel so judged when they talk about that, but around you, they're like, oh my gosh, I feel safe.
Yeah, people tell me things daily. Like, I've heard a lot of stuff. Like, I've heard government secrets.
Oh, you're really attracting in the Scorpio vibes. Wow.
Government royal secrets. I've heard people tell me a lot of stuff.
I love this. Do you ever go out and seek it, or it just comes to you?
It just comes to me. I'll just be out like doing my thing. Like I was like, well, I want to feel cute today. Like the guy downstairs like, oh, nice boots, and just want to strike up a conversation. That's how it works. My fashion normally draws the people in, and it just makes them want to talk. I'm like, hey, who are you? Then they get to know me. They're like, hey, got a question. You seem to know. Like, it just cascades into that.
That's exactly what I found, because when I wear boots and shoes that I've painted myself, so many people. So like on days when I don't want to talk to as many people, I'll dim it down, or I'll wear more average clothes. But when I want to meet people, like especially when I'm traveling, I'll wear all my clothes that I hand painted and made and manipulated, and you meet so many people.
That's the time to do it. The world will let you know if you're hot or not.
Yeah, literally. No. Yeah. And it's funny because you can feel kind of crummy and you put on the best outfit and it changes everything.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's why I love fashion. Oh, fashion is just like, it was my armor in high school because I got bullied a lot in high school. So when I wore fashion, no one really talked about me. I mean, I was wearing Chanel in high school. So I was like, hey, I may be a fat ass, but you are not going to talk about my clothes.
I love that. Yeah.
No. And I became like the best dressed. I was best dressed in the class when we graduated.
No way.
Out of like 200 dudes.
That's a really cool honor. And how has your fashion evolved? Has it?
It used to be more like really old school and kind of preppy because I watched a lot of like Gossip Girl and like stuff in the Hamptons. What's that show? Can't think of it. But it was like some old show in the Hamptons, and I was like, oh, I like that style. It's super cute. But now I feel like now that my body's changing so much and I'm putting my body through so much, it's more comfortable, but also really elevated. I can't do Temu. I can't.
Yeah.
I go straight to Nordstrom or like one of those brands.
Yeah. So I feel like you have a little bit of the Nashville country influence too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And like a little streetwear. Well, like if you were to describe a few different styles that you kind of bring together.
I would say this is definitely modern country because every time I wear something like this, people from Nashville are like, you're like the future. They're like, you're the future. You're like
love
futuristic country.
I love dressing like the future.
Yes.
I have to get more stuff like that's the vibe because you can't usually find it as often in everyday stuff because I thrift a lot. But there's this one brand, Manière Devour, out of London, and they have a very elevated, futuristic vibe, and it's fairly affordable too.
Like, send it to me.
I will. But I want to start making stuff that's future looking. It just feels like it's a little bit more technical and precise, but we'll see.
Okay.
I gotta try.
You're gonna get some new cuts, new patterns.
Yeah. Well, I have so much fabric lying around that I have to make stuff with it, and it's just putting the time in. Yeah. Okay, so what would you say is something you're most proud of? With all of your darkness exploration, were you just kind of reflecting on it and you go, I'm proud of myself in that moment? Or like for doing this?
Yeah, I found myself through all that darkness because growing up in the church, you don't really know who you are outside of what you've been indoctrinated to know. So when I left the church and I was able to just explore on my own and just be in life, I found out who I was. At first, I thought I was in a band for a long time. I thought I was going to be be in a band. Then I wanted to be a veterinarian. Then I wanted to be a model. Then I wanted to be an actor. And now I've settled on fashion and wellness because that's what I'm good at. And that's what I feel like I'm being called to be in. That's where I shine at. And every time I wake up, every experience I have is someone asking for something health related or something wellness related. So I'm like, okay, this isn't what I envisioned for myself, but this is also what I'm good at and just what is what it is.
Yeah, it's literally your calling. Yeah. And I would say too, I just realized fashion is health.
It is, yeah.
I didn't put that together till just now, but it totally is because it reflects your inner world. It makes you more confident, happier. There's a lot of health books out there that say if you wake up and get ready for the day and actually put time and effort into yourself and your look, you feel way better. You're healthier, stronger, mentally, physically, all the things.
Oh, that's absolutely true. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
If it's gray outside, I put on a nice outfit.
Oh, yeah.
Or a bright color.
Yeah.
Oh, it's absolutely true.
Yeah.
And people just receive you in a different way.
Yeah. Because like we said, you attract more people. And people boost you up, and community is important.
Exactly. And then what you put on every day and how you choose to present yourself to the world is a direct reflection of who you are on the inside, unless you're like Secret Service or something.
Yeah.
I get it. You got to kind of look like everybody so you blend in.
Yeah.
And keep the president safe.
It looks nice. It looks nice.
Yeah.
But sometimes I want to add a little cool scarf to their look.
Just a little touch, like a nice little pin or something.
Yeah, little colored stitching.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. Call us, Secret Service. We got you.
Right. Yeah. Come on.
LOL. All right. Well, any last words?
Guys, don't be afraid of the darkness because we are light and darkness. Just find the balance, find the dance, and you'll be good.
That's great advice. And I would say surround yourself with people that love you and support you. So if you do accidentally dive too much into the darkness, they can help pull you out. Because that's what saved me.
Yeah.
Is my mentor, Kaya. She noticed something was off. And she goes, Abby, are you okay? I feel like something's off. You sound not yourself. And I finally was like, okay, yeah, I think you're right. That's when I got help.
Yeah. See, we need that. We need that, especially when we get lost in everything.
It's important.
So that's life. And so life and death. That's all the life and death experiences right there.
What a beautiful experience we have.
We've been teetering and tottering.
Yeah, right. All over the place. It's like a roller coaster. All right. Thanks, Javoris.
Thank you, Abby.